You've just started your first side hustle and you have your first book call, but the nerves kick in and your mind is boggled and you don't know how to handle the next steps. Thankfully, you're not alone because the exact same thing happened to me. So to help you out, I'm going to show you the exact process I went through from setting the call up with a client to closing them on a 20-minute call. We'll also talk through the sales script that I created to help you sign clients. So let's go all the way back to June 26th, 2023, the first time a client agreed to go on a call with me. It started out by searching for my ideal customer. You can find your prospect by searching for them or the words they would use in your search bar, and this would work on the majority of social media platforms. Once you've found your prospect, drop them into a database and label them as a prospect. Once you've got about 10 prospects, you're going to move on to outreach. And I've heard some people saying to send out 100 DMs a day. And that's crazy, especially from my perspective, because I work a 9 to 5 and I don't have enough time alongside my 9 to 5 to be sending out 100 DMs a day. But hey, if you have the time, then by all means, send out 100 DMs a day. But to increase the chances of landing your prospect, you want to write your DM in a particular type of way. It's all well and good copying and pasting 100 DMs a day and sending those out, but I can tell you right now, those DMs are so easy to spot, and I have never ever responded to one of those DMs that I've received. If you're writing out 100 DMs a day and sending out those DMs, and your whole lead generation process relies on that rather than getting inbound DMs, think about the time that you're spending writing and sending those DMs for what you get in return. If your return on investment isn't as good as what you think it should be, then you have to rethink your strategy. You could send out 100 of the same DM each day, but I can guarantee it's going to be harder to sign clients that way. The best way to leverage outbound DMs is by using a framework that I've created called the KISS framework. A framework that allows you to maximize the results you get while reducing the amount of DMs that you send. I've done a video all about this which I'll link to in the description. Let's see how the KISS framework and system worked out for me. Bear in mind I was only a couple of days into starting my business at this point, so my offer was actually pretty weak. On June 26th, 2023, I sent out personalised messages with my offer to multiple ICPs. 3 hours and 20 minutes later, I got my first response. I mean, he was happy with the offer, so I got the call set up via Calendly on Google Meet. Between that initial conversation and the call, I worked on a script that I could use during the discovery call. I had no idea what I was going to say. What do you even say on the discovery call? I knew I'd get to the call and freeze or turn the prospect off if it didn't sound like I knew what I was saying, so I needed something to guide me. The day of the discovery call arrived and it was my first ever call with a prospect. I joined the call, my heart was pounding and I was extremely nervous. 6 PM hit and the prospect would join any moment. 1 minute into the call, I'm sat there thinking there must be a reason he's not turned up yet. It was my first call. Surely I was overthinking. 5 minutes in, I sent a DM reminding him of the call. 15 minutes and he's still not shown up. 20 minutes, the client was a no-show. He stood me up and I never got to use the script that I spent hours upon hours writing. It's very easy in these moments to let the situation get the best of us and even make you want to quit straight away. I'm not cut out for this, but it's by persisting through these moments that makes us who we are. I learned a very valuable lesson through this. I mean, look at his DMs. I should have known better. But what happened after this changed the direction of my business forever and meant I was able to use my sales script multiple times. After the prospect stood me up, I sent more cold DMs. I wasn't going to let this situation get the better of me. That same night I had 2 more responses and calls were set up. And within that week I was able to have my first client call, and this time the client showed up and meant I was able to use my sales script. So when it comes to having the discovery call, it's your goal to make sure you understand the client as much as you can. Make them feel heard. And then you'll get to the intro. You'll want to say hi to the client, talk about something personal related to them, and then maybe ask them what's been the favourite part of their day, or something related to their business or interests. Then ask them if there's anything that you can help them with today. They should respond by saying that they need your service, to which you'll respond with something like, great, it would be my pleasure to help you out. Then they might ask what your product is, so get a list together explaining what your product is so that the prospect has a better understanding of it. Then after the intro, you'll want to get to know them a bit better. It's your time to dive deep into the business and the offer that they have. Then maybe ask them about their vision and goals to understand the kind of client that you'll be working with. Then maybe move on to a problem that they're having at the minute. Ask them what their biggest problem is and how they're facing that problem and how they're thinking about solving it. This is where you can figure out how you can help them. Then you want to move on to your product and see how it can help them out. I like to keep these questions simple on the call because it allows the call to flow nicely. Then after the call, I'll send an onboarding document which allows the client to answer more questions in more detail. Once you've got enough answers from the prospect, then it's time to move on to the onboarding process. This is the stage where you'll decide whether the prospect qualifies for your service or not. Now, pre-qualifying before the call doesn't always manage to cover how the prospect will interact with you, which is why a discovery call is such an important part of the process. And it's why at this stage in the call, it's a good point to decide whether the prospect will qualify for your service or not. Then after you've got a good understanding of your client, you can move on to the pitch, which is where I present my packages. And I have 3 different packages, but you might present your offer in a different way. Then after I've presented my offer, I like to remove any hidden costs that might be getting in the way of the prospect purchasing, and then I like to also add some extra value. Now in this section I've included the extra value that I include in all of my offers, because I genuinely want the best for my client and I believe there's no limit to the value that you can add. But you'll want to amend this to create your own value. Then at this point, I'll ask the prospect if there's any particular package that they're interested in. But don't ramble on after pitching your offer because it could heavily impact on whether your prospect purchases or not. Once the prospect has chosen an offer, it's time to discuss payment. And at this point, I'll ask the prospect for their email so that I can set them up as a new customer, send them an email, and the transaction could be completed. If you're enjoying this video so far and you want more content like this, then hit subscribe and join a community of dream builders. You'll find out how I'm building my own dream life and how you can build your own too. Now there is a downside to this and the prospect might decide not to purchase, but you're okay because in the free script that I'm giving away, you can find it in the description, you'll find the potential objections that you might encounter on your call and how to handle them. Then at the end of the call you want to close it, thank them for joining, express your excitement for working with them, and then set up an app you can continue the conversation on. Before you grab your free script template, which I've linked to in the description, you'll want to find out the easiest way to get more leads. And the best way of getting more leads is to get more social media followers. And that's easier said than done. Or is it? Find out what I did on Twitter or X to get incredible results in this video right here. And I now have a whole list of warm leads to contact about my offer.